I am live and I am trusting that this thing is working and that everyone can see and hear me. If you cannot, please be sure to post in the comments. So I will tell you, I'm using a program called Restream. Um, and so unless you are have an account with Restream, I can't see your name when you comment. I believe on Facebook, I can't see your name. But if you would please, on either, if you're on, if you're on YouTube or on Facebook, I encourage you to leave comments and questions. So my name is Janita Lawal. I am with Lawal Travel Services, and I am starting these Saturday morning travel talks just as a way to, the world is opening back up. People are traveling more. And so I just want to create a space where we can chat about some things that are happening and also things that I want to share with you all. So if you go look on my YouTube channel or even on my Facebook business page, you can see some of the previous chats that we had. The last one was with Native Nomads talking about my trip to Europe. So, but this time it's a little more loosey goosey. I just wanted to pop in here and one, share with you who I am, why I love travel, why I do what I do, and then talk about a couple of things that are happening right now in travel. So first of all, I was thinking about like, why do I love travel? Like, why do I do what I do, right? And I will say that at the heart of it, it's because actually love problem solving, like creative problem solving, and I love creating experiences for people. And that's been true for me throughout my different careers. I started in human resources, and I worked in human resources for about a decade. Yeah. And then I morphed into hospitality management, hospitality development, and did that for about 8 years. And then I've been working in my agency since 2016. So all of that to me is about creating experiences for people and solving problems for people, right? When I was in grad school, my favorite classes were org development and process improvement. And so, that is still true for me today. So, I love travel, but it's to do this work, it has to be about more than just travel. It has to be about people and it has to be about the work itself. So I would say that's why I do what I do and love it. Um, Also, when I think back on my career, when I was in college, I worked for a little while. I worked for a hotel, Shoney's Inn. I don't know if anybody ever knows. Like, there might have been like 10 of them across the United States. But yeah, I worked at Shoney's Inn, and that was actually a pretty cool experience because I learned frontline hospitality, and then I learned back of house hospitality because I would help the housekeeping staff with like um, scheduling and ordering and things like that. So that was interesting, and I was also a rep in an airline call center, ValueJet Airlines. I don't know if anybody remembers ValueJet Airlines, but I worked there when I was in college, and that's where I learned airport codes. So, like when people talk to me, I'm like, "Oh, that's an ORD," blah blah blah. Like that's when I learned airline codes. Is when I worked with ValueJet, and that was actually really a fun job because like ValueJet was before the days of Spirit, so it was like the Spirit of my time. Okay, but yeah, so those were two of my early jobs were related to the travel industry, and then of course, like I said, as an adult or as a older adult, I worked for a development company who had a portfolio of 13,000 hotel rooms across 40 locations. And I was at one point an assistant development manager. So I dealt with contracts and the construction teams and things like that. And then I was an asset manager for a few years. And so that was actually part of my job was traveling to the different hotels, the different locations, doing site inspections, looking over their operations, looking over their financials, looking over their customer reviews, and talking to them about the things that were happening plus the things that were planned. It also included reviewing what's called their capital repairs budgets. So deciding which projects to approve for a year, which ones to delay, and then we presented all of that to our client, which was the government. So when I think about, like, part of what I do now, I do site inspections. I go to different hotels, and honestly, my work as an asset manager, so working for the owner, working for the hotel, if you will, has helped me with what I see, like from the consumer perspective, when I go out and do site inspections now. So it's funny because all of those things have prepared me for what I do now. So little bit about me and why I do what I do. Um, a couple of days ago, I think maybe yesterday actually, I posted on my Facebook page for people to ask me, like, what would you ask me over a cup of coffee? Because anyone who knows me knows I love coffee. My day does not start unless I've had 2 cups of coffee. Okay. And one of them, so one thing to know about me is I actually live in Mexico right now. I have lived here for almost 4 years with my 3 teenage sons. So now you know that I live in Mexico and I have 3 teenage sons. And one of the questions was, how do we like living abroad? And I will say that I made the decision to move abroad partially because I felt like my business could support us here, and it would give me an opportunity living here in Mexico to visit other places more easily. Um, and it was a more laid back lifestyle, and that has panned out for the most part because it is a much more laid back lifestyle that I have grown to love. I actually can't see myself living in the United States again because my whole rhythm is different now. Like my whole vibration is different now. Like even when I go back to visit, everyone else is like "Zoo, zoo, 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 zoo," and I'm like "Zoo, zoo, 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 zoo." And so I don't know that I could plug back in or that I want to, right? Even having worked basically for myself for the last almost 4 years, I don't know that I could go back into a corporate structure and work for someone else. And same thing with my kids. They've been homeschooled since 2018. And so going back into structured like school and someone else's schedule, I think that'd be difficult for us right now. The other thing living abroad, I would say, just the people here. The people here are just wonderful. I know you hear a lot on the news and things like that, and just consider the source, but also it depends on where in Mexico you're talking about. I live in the Yucatan, which the indigenous peoples here are the Mayans, and I will tell you that they're some of the most tranquilo, like laid back people that I've met, and warm, in my experience. But then even outside of that, like going to Oaxaca, going to Mexico City, going to other places, like, it's the people and the culture is a little bit different in each place. So we love it. We love living abroad. There are some challenges. Like, I've been here almost 4 years and I still am not used to this cash based system. Like, that still is like annoying sometimes, but we still love it. Um, Another question that came up from someone is, where am I going next? So if you tuned in last time, you know that I spent almost a month in Europe. I'm still kind of relaxing and recovering from that because it was a long trip. But I will tell you that I've been invited to Africa, to Kenya. So that might happen. We'll see. I've also been invited to join a group in the Dominican Republic in October, so we'll see. But what's for sure is I'll be in Belize in September, and I'm excited about that. I've been to Belize before, but I only did San Pedro, which is on the island of Ambergris Caye. Ambergris Caye, I think I said that right. And so this trip in September, we will do a portion in the jungle, and then a portion on the peninsula. Which, if you know the geography of Belize, there's like a little peninsula or isthmus, I guess, that comes out, and Placencia is there. So a group of friends and I are going. We're going to ride down to Chetumal, which is in Mexico, and cross the border. I've only done water taxis so far, so I've never like done the land crossing from Mexico to Belize. So that's going to be an adventure. But that's happening in September. October, I may go to Tulum for a conference, and I may go to the Dominican Republic. So we'll see how that pans out. And then in December, I am still planning for the New Year's Virgin Voyage cruise because I love Virgin Voyages, in case you didn't know. And then in January, I have a group trip planned to Riviera Maya here in Mexico. So I'm excited about that. And the other thing is St. Lucia in May. I have two trips, and you can check my website for that. One is for couples, so couples in Santa Lucia, St. Lucia, and then the other one is just meet me in St. Lucia, and it's for singles and friends and solo travelers or couples. Like couples can join that one too, but that one's more just adults only, not specifically couples. But info on both of those are on my website. So far, oh yeah, and France in September of next year. So those that's all the travel I have planned for now, but we'll see what else gets added to that. And some of those are open for people to join me. That's why I say check my website because I do some escorted trips, but most of the time I am booking things that my clients request. So speaking of client requests, we are in the midst of summer. And I know with the changes to the US entry policy, people are traveling more, which is great, right? But at the same time that people are traveling more, the airlines are jacked up. I know you guys have probably seen the news and you've seen like all the I'll say hullabaloo about the airlines. And so I just wanted to talk a little bit about that and give people just a few tips to remember with regards to like if you're traveling this summer. One, I will say just be ready. Just be ready for something may go wrong. I just had a group fly to Jamaica. They went to Jamaica last week, and like the day of their travel, I'm sitting there like, oh my god, like hoping that nothing happens. And one client who didn't book their flight through me, she actually had her flight canceled and ended up having to. So she was supposed to fly to Montego Bay, but she ended up flying to Kingston and then getting someone to drive her from Kingston to Montego Bay, and then she got her ride to Negril. So it was just yeah. So the first thing is just prepare yourself to be ready for some things might go wrong, right? Secondly, I would say honestly, team carry on, because that way, if there's an issue, you don't have to worry about your bag being somewhere you aren't or not having the things you need. So being team carry on just gives you a little bit more flexibility. You're able to roll with whatever the changes are. And because I have early rookie mistake once I was flying standby and I sent my bags on, right? And I'm thinking, and we weren't able to get on the flight. So my bags were sitting in, where was I going? Fort Walton? Yeah, Fort Walton Beach. So my bags were sitting in Fort Walton and I was still in Nashville. So we ended up actually renting a car and driving down to Fort Walton. So team carry on, okay? Just team carry on. The third thing I'll say is get travel insurance, because people think about travel insurance and if they have to cancel, but travel insurance also is good for if there's delays, if there are interruptions, right? So delay is of course a delay, like it's delayed 5 hours, which happened to my group in Paris. They were delayed 5 hours, and so that's one type of coverage. And then there's also interruptions. I've had a couple who they couldn't get out of Dallas Fort Worth to Los Cabos. They ended up losing a night, right, from their hotel. And so your travel protection covers those types of things. And if you did happen to check a bag and send it on and your flight's delayed and now you have to go purchase items, like it just feels good knowing that the insurance will likely reimburse you. Or if you need a hotel that night and the airline is saying, sorry, not helping you, then you potentially could be reimbursed by your insurance. So having travel protection, I would say, especially right now, is a must. It's a must. The fourth thing I'll say, fourth and final probably, is flexibility. Be flexible. You probably want to add some cushion to your trip just in case anything happens, and you're delayed or whatever. Maybe leave yourself a day before, a day after as a cushion. Probably don't play it so close, like having to go right into work and things like that. So it's crazy out there, but it's still a good time to travel. Flight prices are up a little bit, which that's where that flexibility is good. Because if you are flexible, you can buy the flight, right? And then build your trip around that. Like, honestly, I get a lot of my clients, they're requesting certain dates. And so we work within those dates. But you get the best deals probably when you are the most flexible. And the flight a lot of times is the biggest chunk. And it's also the most volatile portion of a trip. That flights change, like, you know, there's really, it's a moving target, right? Whereas revenue managers rooms stay at a pretty standard rate, right? They're based on seasonality, they're based on like events going on, but for the most part there's not extreme fluctuations in room prices. And so it's much easier to get the flight, right, and then build your trip around that. So you could actually, one thing you might want to do, I love Google Flights. So I'll go onto Google Flights and I'll put my origination airport, and then like just play around. You can play around with dates, and you can also leave the destination empty, and it'll show you the world. And so if you are flexible and you aren't tied to a destination or tied to specific dates, like if you have a open window where you can travel, you can find some really great deals right now. Like, I know flight prices are crazy for the most part, but if you have flexibility and if you're willing to build your trip around your airline ticket, you can have a great time. You can have a great time. And if you need help, you have a friend who can help you, right? I know. The other thing I wanted to talk about that's in the news right now is the exchange rate between the euro and the dollar. Let me tell you something. So while I was in Europe, of course, I was using euros, and I used this app called Wise. I love Wise. It was called TransferWise. Now it's just called Wise. And it's awesome because you can have currency. You can have different currencies kind of sitting in your account, and use the one card to access different currencies. But one of the things I had to be cognizant of was the exchange rate between the dollar and the euro. For the longest time, okay, the dollar has been undervalued against the euro. And so now I was looking, I think yesterday, it was actually the dollar was at 102, like 2 cents, if you got 2 cents more, if you will, for every euro, which is like, it's a win. If you're from the US, it's a win. Of course, that means a lot of people now are going to Europe because they feel like they're getting some value, and so you may see an increase in prices because of that. So just know it may wash. But like, that's exciting. It's exciting. Of course, there's probably some economic stuff that I need to be aware of, that we're all like, enjoying the consumer aspect of it. But is that a good thing? I don't know. What I will tell you is it means that my wine is actually less in my head than what I'm seeing. But Europe is always a good idea, but the exchange rate right now is another incentive to trek to Europe and explore. And I know, like, the bulk of my clients travel to the Caribbean because it's easy for us, from the United States. But I encourage you, like, go to Europe. And if you can get a flight, like, you can find some great deals from like JFK, Chicago. Like, Chicago has really great deals, and they're nonstop. So nonstops you can get from Chicago, JFK, Atlanta, um, DCA. I'm not as versed with DCA, but I know JFK, Chicago, and Atlanta, and even Newark, EWR Newark. You can sometimes get some really great deals to Europe. And it's only, so to get from JFK over to like England or the UK or Paris, it's like 6 hours, which, that's a nap. Just go to sleep and you're there, right? Now, to go to Eastern Europe and to get to, let's say, if you're going to Africa, like, that's a much longer flight. But Europe, like going to the I guess it's what is that, the West Coast, going to Western Europe, is actually not bad. You can get some great deals. And I my first trip to Europe I did over a long weekend. So if you just want to taste, it doesn't have to be some expensive long trip. You can actually plan something over a long weekend. Give yourself at least 4 nights in destination. Of course, 9, 10, 14 would be even better. But if it's just a matter of getting it off your bucket list and getting just a taste, it's very doable. Very doable. So, those are the two things that I really wanted to chat with you guys about. And again, just give you some background on me. If you want to connect with me, you can do so at Lawal Travel Service, well, lawaltravel.com. We send out information to our clients about different destinations. Sometimes there's some great opportunities that come up. We also send out information about our escorted trips. So be sure to go to lawaltravel.com and connect with us. I also invite you to check in here every Saturday at 10 a.m. Central for these travel chats. On some of these, I will have a guest, and so it'll be a conversation, which I actually love. Anyone who knows me knows I love conversation. Like, I sit around with friends sometimes drinking wine, like we're philosophers or something. Like, I think in another life, I would have been friends with Socrates, yeah, or something like that. And Plato, those guys, they would have been my friends. But no, seriously, I look forward to connecting with you. And be sure to leave me any questions here in the feed, and I'll come back and answer them for you. Until then, I'm off to get another cup of coffee and enjoy my weekend. Have a wonderful weekend. Bye.